who have coexisted, who've had so much success together, obviously 3 finals in a row, 1 championship, to hear that for whatever reason there's a sense that they can't continue to coexist. I mean, yeah, that's drama, but it's not necessarily the kind of drama that the league wants.
It's the exact kind of drama the league wants. What you don't want is danger and violence and collusion and tampering. You want stars fighting, ego and vanity. That's unbelievable. We have a society now that's fractured and fragmented and caffeinated, and there's a million different things. Brings us all together. We can root for LeBron and against Kyrie, or for Kyrie and against LeBron. This is the exact kind of drama you want. Ego, alpha drama is good drama. Christine with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Stephen Jones was talking about Dak Prescott and expectations this year, if they'll be higher, which of course they will, because last year there were essentially no expectations for Dak, and he exceeded that.
Right.
So here he is now on what he expects for this next year.
He knows that he's got to improve. He studied the tape. He knows he's got to get better. The great quarterbacks in our game get better every year. Yeah. And Tony will tell you it's not even close where he was last year. Year before last, when he was having great years, compared to where he was when he first came in the game. And he was driven to be a great football player, and there's not a question in my mind that Dak is just so driven to be the very best.
Are they hyping him up too much, though?
Well, here's what's interesting. Cam Newton came into the league as like this superstar. Mm-hmm. What happens if third-round Russell Wilson and fourth-round Dak Prescott actually become much better quarterbacks than Cam Newton? Cam Newton came in as one of the great college stars of my life, like Vince Young, Cam Newton. Cam comes in, and it is just the world opens for Cam. Russell Wilson's better. What if a fourth-rounder from his same conference is better? This is really interesting because, Christine, historically, year 2, we've seen a lot of these guys struggle. They now everybody gets film on them. I think Dak's the real deal. And the other thing is, with his offensive line, it's almost hard to fail in the NFL when you have a former quarterback as a head coach, the best offensive line in the game, a superstar wide receiver, an all-pro level tight end, and Ezekiel Elliott. I don't see any way in which he goes into the tank. I think for the next 3 to 4 years, Dak's going to be a very, very high-end Pro Bowl quarterback.
I think so, too, but is it too much pressure for Stephen Jones at this point to be talking about how his expectations are a lot higher and he's so great?
I think
do you kind of take the hype down a little bit and let his work on the field speak for itself?
I think being the coach at Notre Dame or the quarterback for the Cowboys, you're just going to have to deal with pressure. And by the way, don't draft him if you don't think he can handle it, because being a Cowboy quarterback's different than being the Jaguars quarterback. Just is.
Damian Lillard is now weighing in on the Kyrie Irving situation and reportedly wanting to be traded away from the Cavs. And here is Lillard saying it doesn't make sense to him.
Who wouldn't want to go to the finals every year? I think they've been to the finals the last 3 years. So I would love to do that. I don't know, because I've never played with LeBron. But just watching from the outside, you see how easy he makes the game for everybody else. I'm not sure what it's like playing with LeBron, the person, but the player, I don't see why anybody wouldn't want to play with him.
Thank you.
Whoa, hold on.
Thank you.
Love Damian Lillard, but like he just said, he's never been to the finals, so he can't relate to the situation that Kyrie is in.
By the way, over the next 5 years and the last 3, almost nobody's going to the finals, like the same 12 guys.
Right, so that's why, of course, Damian Lillard is going to say this, that he couldn't understand why Kyrie wouldn't want to be there. But he's not looking at it from the other perspective. Kyrie has been there. He has won a championship. Now he sees that maybe the cornerstone to that franchise is going to leave. So he needs to set himself up for success.
You ever seen a divorce and a guy leaves a smart, beautiful woman?
Yes.
And he has an affair with somebody and you're like, yeah, but your wife's beautiful and smart.
Yeah,
and
insecurity. You think it's Kyrie's not an insecure guy. He's not. He's really not.
I'm sorry, but Damian Lillard...
I see your analogy, and that does make a lot of sense, and it does happen a lot.
Damian Lillard is speaking for 99% of the guys in the league are like, okay, I'll go play with LeBron. I'll go to the finals. Kyrie's like, Kyrie shoots more shots per game than LeBron, never has to guard the best player.
Okay, but what about if that woman, the guy knew that there was a 80% chance that she was going to leave him anyways?
Oh, come on.
I mean, you got to add that to the analogy to make it make sense. And finally, excuse me, Richard Jefferson, Kyrie's own teammate, is coming to Kyrie's defense on the trade request.
I think Kyrie is a hyper-intelligent kid. Really, really smart. Doesn't get enough credit for how smart he is. And I think seeing that the franchise is in flux, I think seeing Griff leave and, the amount of coaches, I think Kyrie has had a much tougher time in this stretch of the organization than anyone ever really wanted fully. He's a number one pick right after LeBron. Then he has 3 different coaches. Then LeBron comes back. Now there's trade rumors. Now it's LeBron's leaving. It's like at some point in time, even anybody would want some sort of stability.
Who would know better on this situation than Kyrie's own teammate? A vet who's 37 years old. He can speak freely. He's got nothing to lose, really, anymore. I'm sure, and the Kyrie that I know, that I covered in the league, is this intelligent guy. He's very smart, very aware of his surroundings. We'd never hear a peep about him, never conflict. And he didn't even say this himself. This just leaked. I think Richard Jefferson makes a lot of sense here. Kyrie sees what the future of the franchise is. He sees that LeBron might leave. So why not get what he needs for himself? He's already won the championship. Now let's move on.
All right. I think Cleveland's a charming place to live.
Oh, wait, have you been there?
No.
I mean, it's great, but it's not LA.
Cleveland doesn't really rock. Sorry, it doesn't.
That was harsh.
Yeah.
That's the news.
Christine with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Greg Jennings is a Super Bowl champ. He's a Fox Sports 1 NFL analyst. By the way, let me hear from your professional. Okay, so you played with a LeBron-esque figure, Aaron Rodgers. Okay? Mm-hmm. NFL guys leave all the time. NBA guys generally don't leave Magic and Bird and MJ and LeBron. Okay, if you were a basketball player, I'm sure you probably at some point played hoops, and you made a choice to play football. What do you make of what Kyrie Irving's doing?
Again, from a fan's perspective.
You're not a fan. You're a pro.
I'm a pro.
You're an
but
athlete.
I'm a fan of the game, and I am an athlete. I get it. I don't understand it because I'm not in it. So what Damian Lillard said is there's a lot of truth to that. He hasn't played with LeBron, or he doesn't know LeBron, the teammate.
Aaron Rodgers could be a diva. You're not walking out the door. You're not walking out the door on Aaron Rodgers, are you?
But understand where Kyrie's at. I personally, if I'm Kyrie, I'm not leaving. If you want your own team, if you're that smart and you're that hyper intelligent, you understand. Yes, is the organization kind of in flux? Maybe. Yes. If LeBron leaves, I get everything that I need. I'm by myself now again. I can prove what I need to prove instead of going elsewhere.
That's an interesting point, that Kyrie can actually, if he really wants to be the man, wait a year, LeBron leaves, and you're the man.
Maybe he doesn't want it in Cleveland. Maybe he's played there his whole career and he wants to change.
But for me, I just have an issue with someone who has been. It's almost and there's no guarantees in sports.
None.
It's almost a guaranteed lock that they will continue to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals and further to the NBA Finals.
Tell me,
for one more year, because right now in Kyrie's mind, he thinks that LeBron is leaving to go to the Lakers.
But that's
one more year. That's one more year that he has an opportunity to do it. Yeah. You leave. You go to the Knicks. You go to the T-Wolves, you go to the Spurs. It's much harder in the West to try to get there than it is right now in the East, where you're sitting on top.
But then I guess the question is winning everything. Maybe that's not what he wants. He says,
good.
I've already won my championship. Now I want to go start a new challenge.
That's a loser.
Is that possible?
That's a loser.
I talked to plenty of athletes who
that
say,
is definitely possible.
Yeah.
And I see that perspective of it, because having won a championship, don't get me wrong, and I don't want to make it seem like championships aren't everything, but they're not once you have it. Once you have it, that's the pinnacle, that's the goal, that's what you want every single year. But once you've tasted it, you now can experience other things and other ways and other avenues to get that done.
Look, he's shooting more shots than virtually anybody in the NBA, not named Westbrook. He's got a title. He's got his money. Maybe he's just spoiled. What more do you want? I want to play in a perfect city. You're playing with the best player. You're getting more shots than anybody not named Westbrook.
I don't think any of us can really understand where he's coming from because we're not in his shoes.
Yes.
We're not experiencing what he's experienced. When I watch, and I love basketball. I watch a guy who's the most talented player on that team. When it comes to offensively, get me the ball, I can make anything happen.
Doesn't pass, doesn't defend. Yeah, he's the most talented, skilled offensive guy. But
that's the league. Who defends? Who passes?
LeBron, Kawhi Leonard,
LeBron,
Jimmy Butler.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge LeBron fan, and when he's off the court, that team is struggled. Regardless if Kyrie's on the court or not, they've struggled.
4-23 when LeBron's not on the court.
But I just don't. I truly believe that Kyrie understands that if it were just me, this really wouldn't be what you put around me. This is what you've put around LeBron and I to make sure that LeBron. I'm again.
LeBron's the best player in the world.
No doubt.
He should
no
call
doubt about
all
that.
the shots.
No doubt about that.
MJ called all the shots.
No doubt about that.
Magic got coaches fired.
But what you're dealing with now is ego. Pippen we didn't have this issue with Pippen. Pippen knew his role.
Yeah, and
he was a superstar that knew his role.
And Kyrie is living a dream. He never has to defend the best player. The best player never defends him. He gets more shots than LeBron. He doesn't have, when the game is over, the microphones all go to LeBron.
I agree.
He can hide from the media.
I agree.
He can date who he wants.
I agree
Nobody
with
cares.
all of that.
And he's not happy?
The one issue that I do have with LeBron in all of this, and again, LeBron is my guy. Like, I love LeBron. But I feel as though he could have gone to Kyrie and said, you know what? This is your team. What does he lose by saying, you know what? This is Kyrie's.
It's not his team.
But he can say that. That's
so he can lie to him.
No, I'm not saying lie to him. You're saying that he takes the most shots in the clutch. Are you giving the ball to LeBron or are you giving it to Kyrie? Be honest.
I like LeBron with the ball late.
No, you don't.
So you can tell Aaron Rodgers needed to go to Greg Jennings. Listen, Greg, this is your team.
No, we're talking two totally different.
No,
a quarterback driven league versus a wide. That's not even the same. That's apples and oranges.
This is a LeBron driven league.
It's a LeBron.
Is it not?
It is a LeBron driven league.
He's changing everything.
I do believe that Kyrie has probably been fed up with that.
Oh,
like,
God.
Look, is that not fair?
That is
be tired of it?
That's like me complaining about the third boat I own.
Hey,
what kind of complaint is that?
All I'm saying is I'm trying to see it from Kyrie's perspective.
Yeah, and that's the wrong way to see it.
You asked me a question. I'm trying to see it from Kyrie's perspective. I'm not saying I agree with him.
It sounds like you agree with him.
No, I'm just simply saying this is what I feel like Kyrie is probably sitting back at home saying, you guys have no idea what I have to deal with, what I have to put up with. You see the lavish life. It's just like the average fan, the typical or fan of whether it be hockey, baseball, basketball. Everyone wants to be that athlete. They don't want to put in the work that athlete has, but they don't want to endure everything that comes with.
The average guy listening to my show, an average woman makes $42,000 a year. They bust their tail. They would die for this. Kyrie Irving is basically complaining.
Wait. No,
that,
he's not.
Playing with the world's greatest player, I know I get more shots and never have to defend anybody, and the coach is a former point guard, so he totally gets me, and I don't have to talk to the press because LeBron does that. But I'm going to tell you, I don't get a lot of love.
Maybe that's not what it's about.
I would love to hear from Kyrie. I just want to hear why. The why.
Immaturity?
No.
The why. Because I don't think we will hear immaturity. I don't think we would hear that.
Kyrie, Colin, if you met him, is one of the most mature players. And he's still very young. He's very mature. And he really thinks things out. I think he's like 24.
Have you ever met a mature 25-year-old?
But it's different. When you're a professional athlete, it can go both ways. But you also grow up a little faster.
Yeah.
And he was the leader of his team before LeBron
Why am I the only person here
Because you have to think from his perspective.
Why do I? He's not the best player. Let's think
But
from
it doesn't-
LeBron's
it doesn't
perspective.
But okay, now if you ask me from LeBron's perspective, now I'll give you a different take.
And by the way, this will be the right take. Go ahead.
See, you're just completely one-sided.
Okay, what's your take from LeBron?
From LeBron's perspective, he's